Introducing Jeff. Yeah, I'll introduce Jeff. Introducing assignments. And we're going to go through three aircraft until we get to the straight and level.
Affirmative.
Then we're going to do 2 more aircraft. Go to a commercial break.
Affirmative.
3 more aircraft.
That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Let's get it, boys.
Are you ready?
One down the center with the one the other one get back in one with the one down two get the other 1 7 now 8 with the base the one me and 8 with the 1 8 back down to the center. Sold it. Joint on the corner where the big boys play. 450, now 75 against 75, come back in 75 against 75, the other 470.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Beacon Bar at Jet Aviation Dallas Love Field. I'm Jacob Engelsdorf, Vice President of Assent Aeronautics, joined by my good friend and colleague, Jeff Gilmore. Jeff, thanks for being with us today.
Of course, best part of the job right here.
Yeah, he always says that. Jeff is, ladies and gentlemen, the newest owner in the world of a 421C. Jeff, congratulations on the new purchase.
Thank you very much, and thanks for all your help, everyone at the Assent team. It's true. It takes a great team to get a deal like this done, and I couldn't have had a better group behind me. Right here at the top, Jake and Halsey and everyone else. I'm thrilled. It's a lifelong dream. It's a great airplane, and I couldn't have got it without the Assent team.
Yeah, well, thanks for the kind words. I feel like we've sold 7 or 8 of these 421Cs, and every time we bring one across the auction block, it sells before, during, or after. And you're always talking about how wonderful 421Cs are, and that's the dream. And then, you know what? You put your money where your mouth was and bought one. So I'm very proud of you, very excited.
Me too. Thank you so much. It's a great airplane. It has been for decades. I think it will be for several more decades.
Yeah. It was great. We'll get back to that more later in the show. Right now, we have an auction, and it looks like the first lot is going to close in 8 minutes. So we talked about moving the structure of the auction from a live auction where people had 5 minutes live to bid, and really that was the process that happened from going to a live auction. When we started these auctions back in 2019, they were live. Fly in. Turbine aircraft only, private jets, where we had, catering and drinks and chairs, and we shut down an entire airport and basically took over an FBO, and they were super fun. Of course, COVID moved this online, and now we have online aircraft auctions, which has really worked for us. I mean, we've pivoted extremely well. We still wanted the live, we wanted that excitement, but bidding in 5 minutes across the globe. We've had people bid in New Zealand. We've had people bid in Scotland and everywhere else, South Africa. Getting that synced up was really difficult. So now we open bidding for 30 days prior to the auction. So people have been able to bid, and we've already met some reserves, which is absolutely fantastic. So today, really exciting. We are basically doing a live show as these auctions close. So when the lot closes, we'll give you you could see it now if you're streaming on our website via Nextlot or friends at Nextlot on our website. So you can actually see the lots close themselves, which is great. The first lot up is a 1993 Newport 17 Replica. And we've talked about this aircraft before. It was at our June 17th auction. This is a replica of an aircraft that was a French fighter in World War I. I mean, think about that. Literally over 100 years ago.
100 years ago.
Yeah, it was crazy. Could you imagine 100 years ago, airplanes have only commercially been around for 10 years? Maybe?
Just barely.
Yeah.
I mean, been flying for about 15 by the time the war is up and going, and you've got air-to-air combat and air-to-ground missions being performed by 100 horsepower biplanes like this one.
Yeah, you talk about, running into a pilot on the street is pretty rare nowadays. Could you imagine being one of the very few people in the world? I mean, you're essentially, back in the day, you would have been a modern day astronaut.
You would have been an astronaut.
Think about it.
That's exactly right.
Honestly, just off the back of Jeff Bezos's launch this week.
That's right.
Did you see that with the 3 other people?
Yes.
Pretty cool story. So there's one kid that was from the Netherlands. Right, 18-year-old or something, won at a public auction. His brother, 50-year-old guy, and then it was a female that I think my mom has actually spoken with her. She wasn't allowed to go on some Apollo space mission or so. I don't know the entire backstory. Pretty cool if she gets to ride in space for, 11 minutes, $1.3 billion per minute up in the air.
Yes.
Talk about a direct operating cost.
It's a pretty big bar tab for a flight.
Yeah, it sure is. So it's great. Okay, so we have, looks like 5 minutes until the first closing of the Newport replica. Jeff, I had a couple of questions for you. So when did you first start learning how to fly?
I was about 9 years old, and my dad, so this is the early 90s.
Okay.
So laptops are around. They're not like what we see today, but they're around. They're mostly for work purposes. My dad had a work laptop. He brought it home, and it had Flight Simulator on it. It was Flight Simulator 4, and I couldn't stop. It was frustrating for me. I didn't really understand flight or aerodynamics at that age. But I'm glad I got immersed in it that young. It's almost like getting immersed in a foreign language.
Sure.
You can just absorb so much more at that age. And as soon as I could reach the rudder pedals, I was flying little Cessnas. My local airport was John Wayne in Orange County in Southern California, and I've never turned it off since. I've tried, but I can't.
That's great. Do you have the latest version of Microsoft Flight Simulator?
I do.
You do?
The graphics are incredible. The second to last version that Microsoft had was fantastic. I mean, for a full decade, and they've really blown the roof off on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, if you fly down like the Las Vegas Strip in the Jet Ranger, it's like you're flying down the Strip. It's incredible.
Have you can do 420, you can do almost anything. Microsoft Flight Simulator, can you not?
Yes, so there's an entire community that has add-ons, and they take a lot of pride in whatever plane it is that they like, and you can integrate one model into the many models that Microsoft already offers, and there are little Cessnas, there's a Jet Ranger, you can go all the way up to a 747. There are jets, there are turboprops. So there's a wide variety of aircraft you can fly on Flight Simulator, just stock when you buy the game. But you can add on, other models, right. and I know lots of people, whatever they fly, they've spent the reasonable amount of money. It's usually like $30 or $40 to add on, right. A Beech Duke or a 421,
sure.
or a King Air 200, whatever it is, you can add it on, and that's a really good simulator that you can have at home, anytime, any weather conditions, whatever.
Yeah, sure. And by the way, we are not sponsored by Microsoft or Flight Simulator, so we don't need to put a hashtag ad, on this thing.
It's a really good product.
Yeah, as we have just under 2 minutes, looks like coming up on 1 minute left to go before lot number 1 closes. Here's a good question for you. Obviously, I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that you've flown the 421C in the Microsoft Flight Simulator.
I have.
Okay. Can you customize the panel, or does it just come stock?
You get a panel from the add-on engineer. Okay. It's usually an amateur who does this. But oftentimes you can get different types of panels. If they offer a 430 or a 530 and you want a GTN 750, you can usually spend another $10 and get that added on so that you can mimic whatever panel that you've got and make it all the more realistic and purposeful as you simulate and practice.
Have you punched in, because the cockpit in your 421C is probably the nicest? I mean, it's pretty much as nice as you can get in a 421C. You have a G600, dual G600s.
Correct.
Dual GTN 750s.
Correct.
Yeah, which, ladies and gentlemen, is wild, as we have 30 seconds left on this replica. Have you done that? Have you put those in a Microsoft Flight Simulator?
Yes, the only thing I can't add is the EDM 960 dual engine monitor. That's not available right now. It's not to put into the simulator, but otherwise it's all there, and it's terrific practice to get to know how to master these excellent pieces of avionics. If you don't know how to use them, you're just not taking advantage of how well Garmin and these other manufacturers have done with new panels today.
Yeah. Okay, time has run out on the Newport replica. The lot is closed. We're pushing that Vectors to final, ladies and gentlemen. If you have interest in this exquisite replica aircraft, please email us, jetsales@ascentaero.com. You can always call us, 817-888-8227. The next bird is a 1966 Piper Cherokee. The reserve has been met, so we will be selling this aircraft on the block today. 27.5 for a 1966, your stock single engine piston low wing Piper Cherokee. In fact, we were talking about flight simulators. So it's funny, my dad was an IMSA driver. He was a gentleman driver in the IMSA circuit, just did practice stuff. So he went up to Ohio and did Circuit of the Americas down in Austin. And so he built this driving simulator, which is an immersive, 3 or 4 screens. He's literally driving and all of that. You could do different cars. And my mom one-upped him by getting a flight simulator in her office. So she has the rudder pedals, the yoke, everything like that, and it's attached to these new monitors. So what's funny is she just went to, well, it's not funny, it's awesome. She went to AFIT in Sacramento and did that 3-week intensive course. So basically in the spring, we didn't see her. She wasn't checking in on the grandbabies, as frequently at night because she was doing her FAA written test. And then she went for 3 weeks and came out a pilot. I mean,
Very impressive.
Yeah. So now she's just building time. But what's funny is she asked me about this 1966 Piper Cherokee because she was like, hey, I'm looking for something just to build hours. She lives down in Austin. We're obviously based in Fort Worth. She wants to come see her grandkids. She hates driving on I-35. Our Texans that are watching the stream, if you've been on I-35 between Austin and Fort Worth, or Dallas, you know how difficult Waco and Temple are. She said, you know what, I'm just going to fly. She loves flying into space. Even though every single time she flies into space, and you would know this, there seems to be a crosswind. Is that true?
I haven't noticed that much of a crosswind in Sphinx.
Okay.
In Cleburne, yes, and in Fort Worth Beecham, yes, but Sphinx is usually right down the runway.
Is it?
Stephenville also will give you a crosswind, but she must have bad luck.
Maybe it is. Well, I mean, she's flown it like 2 or 3 times. So, my sister's a corporate pilot, and so she's sitting left seat, right seat with my mom as they go up and build time, and she's actually looking to buy something like that. So 2.5 minutes left on the shot clock for the Piper Cherokee. It just looks like a good bird.
Well, if not a Cessna 172, this is the plane that almost any pilot who's ever flown has got time in a Cherokee. It's tried and true. Piper did a great job with this plane. It's simple, it's forgiving, it's a great trainer, and it always will be. They've been making planes for a long time. They first built the Cherokee back in the 60s, and it's still a good trainer 60 years later. And so hats off to the Piper engineers because they got this one right. It's a great airplane. It was then, it is now, and it will be in the future.
Yep. It was the bird that had flight safety. So my sister was at Vero Beach Flight Safety, and they had Pipers almost exclusively. I mean, all of her training time when she was just building up hours to get her CFI was in a low wing Piper. I think it was Piper Warrior.
Sure.
And we actually had as we round on just under a minute here on the Piper Cherokee, we had a Comanche actually looking to come to our auction. A little bit of a delay. It was being bought to flip. They're putting new panels in it, new seats. It's going to be a great bird. Probably be at either an August or September auction. But the difference in the Comanche is that it has a retractable gear.
Yes.
Right.
It's a sport airplane.
Right. Yeah.
Higher performing.
How many more knots are you getting? Just for the general public here, if you were to take maybe the same engine, and maybe this is an engineer's question, same engine, same wing structure, how many knots comes off? How many knots come off when?
I mean, lots of variables in play. I mean, if you made me just give a generic broad stroke, I'd say you probably get about 20% more cruise speed. But again, it all depends on how much horsepower you've got up front. Is the engine turbocharged?
Right.
What's your aerodynamic wing look like? Cirrus. If the CEO of Cirrus were sitting right here, he'd say, doesn't matter at all.
Right.
We have fixed gear, and our planes are really fast, and they are.
Right.
Most Cirruses or Cirri, they're turbocharged, and so as you climb and the air gets thinner, that penalty for the gear being down is less and less. And also, Cirrus landing gear is very aerodynamic. Yeah. They thought about this. If you could retract the gear on a Cirrus, and I'm sure they never will for their piston fleet, it would be less than 20% of a boost in your cruise speed. It would be probably 5 or less. I'll defer to an engineer, but that's about what you get in a generic Piper or Cessna, probably 15 or 20% more performance cruise speed.
Yeah. Well, as you say that, ladies and gentlemen, we have sold the 1966 Piper Cherokee for $27,500.
That'd be a great plane for somebody.
Yeah.
Great plane.
I actually spoke to the bidder, and he's buying this thing for a trainer. He said it'd be a great trainer for somebody. It's airworthy. It's coming with completed annual. There are no issues on the aircraft. They're installing ADS-B. It takes about 30 minutes to install that tail beacon. And gosh, you can just fly. I mean, I'm thinking about like sunset flights and building time, and
for sure. I mean, there is a blue and white Cherokee. I don't know what year it is, but there's a blue and white Cherokee that's based out of Meacham. I see it every week. I see it almost every day at work in downtown Fort Worth or in my yard, just looking up. That thing's up there all the time. It is a workhorse. For 9 years I've lived in Fort Worth. That Cherokee is up there, and I'm sure I'm going to have white hair one day, and I'm going to still see it flying. It's a great airplane, and congratulations to that buyer. You're going to have a lot of good times in a really solid airplane.
Yeah, congratulations to our buyer and seller. Well, we're about halfway done already with the Celier Xenon 2, or the Celier Xenon 2, as we would say in Texas. I know Ian, our resident UK Assent Sports Media Brit, is going to correct, so he's fluent in French. He was like, it's Celier. I'm like, hey, come on, I don't know how to say this thing. But it looks so dadgum fun to fly. We're watching the program feed right now, and look at that, Jeff. I mean, that's just incredible.
Yeah, it's a sporty, nimble, fun. I mean, look at the cockpit.
Right.
Those windows. I mean, you want to talk about a sunset flight?
No doubt.
Or I mean, like take that thing up clearly out of harm's way, but on the 4th of July, and you've got it's like an aquarium sitting inside of that cockpit with that bubble. Bubble windows. Visibility's superb.
Oh yeah, even down by their feet, which is great. Listen, we've sold a number of rotorcraft, and our president is the resident helicopter expert. But the more and more I sell of these, I'm a fixed wing guy, and that's just, I understand the 4 elements of flight and that component structure. But with helicopters, I don't. The gyroplane or the gyrocopter is just the absolute coolest thing. And I know we told the story about it previously, but it's as close, without doing the squirrel suit, it's as close to flying as you can get in something that's motorized that maybe isn't a glider or something like that. So, but I'm excited to see. I know a couple of these will probably be at Oshkosh next week, and we're taking the whole crew up there. So I need to go sit in one of those. We're going to have a whole bunch of Assent Aeronautics koozies we're going to be giving out if you follow us on LinkedIn's, which if you don't already follow us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you should. We have job postings. I'm looking for a personal assistant, small plug. We need more sales guys. So Looks like 20 more seconds left on the Xenon. And after that closes, we are going to go to a preview of our TV show Straight and Level, which we have been filming and producing now for a year. Very excited about it. Okay, we are going to move the Xenon to vectors to final. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy a clip from our TV show Straight and Level.
Affected by wildfire. Since 2000, wildfire activity has doubled. Supertankers are effective, but they are also expensive. The truth is that there simply aren't enough resources to deploy them everywhere they're needed. Thankfully, Leland Snow, an air tractor, developed a solution. The single-engine air tanker, the air tractor, Fireboss.
My dad knew that the industry needed new aircraft, new production, specifically designed for firefighting. And so he started working on the 802 as a firefighting airplane around 1989. There wasn't a lot of interest in the beginning. Everyone wanted the bigger tankers and the multi-engine tankers, but the California Department of Forestry did express interest, and they wanted to do an evaluation of the prototype. And so that really pushed my dad to work really hard. He got the prototype finished and sent it out to California for their fire season of '91. And it seemed like the pilots were already biased against the airplane because it was single engine and single pilot. And one of them even was quoted saying, well, I think this is a step backwards. With that negative bias and the inherent flaws in a raw prototype, they wrote up a really bad evaluation and a negative report. He was really disappointed. We brought the prototype back. He got it certificated and, worked on all the improvements that he had planned for it as far as the handling qualities, and started production in, I think, 1993. Now, almost 30 years later, now it's one of the top air tankers around the world.
So my understanding is that between 3 or 4 802s on floats can deliver the same amount of water on target as a C-130 or a Chinook?
That's about right. When you can make 10 to 15 loads an hour, literally on and off the water every 3 to 4 minutes, 3 airplanes can move a lot of water in an hour.
Jim, it seems like these aircraft really fight a lot of fires.
Well, we do, and we're fortunate to be in a position with that. But, a lot of fires, we hear about the big fires. They make the news media. The ones we're really proud of is our operators that put out the fires that you never hear about.
Wow, just so cool. I don't know how those Firebosses go down into the water, pick up a load, adding so much weight, and then popping up and going and fighting fires. Have you seen anything, I was going to say badass. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? I don't know. So cool. We'll allow it. Okay, you'll allow it. Thank you. Well, you are general counsels. So, we do have a minute 30 seconds left on the Aero Commander Darter 100, a 170. As David Brigham said, it was basically a 172 with a rolling tail.
Yes.
I am really surprised with this one. It has enough reserve. Yeah, it's great for fresh annual, lowered reserve. Talk about a good trainer. I mean, this thing could be awesome for somebody. It may not have the brand name, right, of a Piper or a Cessna, but it's an awesome aircraft.
It is. I like it. It's kind of a sporty looking little trainer.
Yeah.
I'm sure it performs pretty well. And so, I mean, we say economical all the time. This has got to be your winner in an efficient ride. I'm sure this thing is less than 10 gallons an hour as it cruises, and you probably get 100 plus knots on a cruise, and it's just a neat little airplane.
Yeah, no doubt. Which I'm so excited to go to Oshkosh and see all of the birds that every year. I mean, you've got 650,000 people that come to EAA's AirVenture Oshkosh show every year. People are already there. We're not getting there until Sunday. We're staying for a whole week. You know, in MBAA, you're in and out in 3 days. I mean, if you're staying more than 3 days in MBAA,
You've had too much in Vegas.
well, first of all, yeah, you've had too much in Vegas. You can't do more than 24 hours in Vegas. All right, we are going to move this Darter 100 to our Vectors to final. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in the aircraft, going to see it, setting up a visual, doing a test flight, making an offer, or just want to chat about it, contact us at jetsales@ascentaero.com. Call us at 877-888-8227. We are moving on to the 1969 Cessna 172. I have had more inquiries as of late on this 172, I think, than any other aircraft in this auction. And what's surprising is because, and we'll talk about this later, but because of all the reports coming out of private aircraft, business aircraft, and general aviation usage, 172s have appreciated so much. I mean, these trainers, a low time, Garmin 1000, 172 or fresh overhaul. So, I mean, it is crazy what these prices are pulling right now. The market has never been better. And so owners know what they can get for 172s.
Yeah, there's no secret with this plane. It is the most successful general aviation airplane ever built. And I don't see anything overtaking it. It's that consistent. And you look at this model, this is a 69. If you go out to the ramp right here at Dallas Love Field, I'm sure there is at least 5 172s tied down. And even if you got one from last year, it's going to look 99.something% what we're seeing here in this 69 model. And that's not a knock on the new 172s. They've got the Garmin G1000 up front, and that's the biggest difference. And that, I think, is a great compliment and a testament to what Cessna did with this plane decades ago and what they're still doing today.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, what's funny is we looked at the C90, the E90, and the F90. So in the past few years, we've purchased all 3 different types of King Airs, and it's just funny to see how manufacturers listen to consumers and their clients in the aviation industry. And they change what they need to change, and they keep consistent what they need to keep consistent. I mean, the C90, the F90, and the E90 were all kind of in that same mode, and they killed off the E90 and the F90 because they were eating into the B200. There wasn't enough of a separation. So now you have the C90, which is arguably the most popular King Air model of all time, one of the most popular turboprops of all time, which I think is funny to say because the B200 could also potentially take that title, but there's clear distinctions between the two. The 172, why change it? High wing, super forgiving, 4-place, you know what you're going to get, super low fuel consumption.
Yes.
And just consistent.
Yes. And there's not a mean bone in this airplane's body, which is why it's the most successful, the most popular, the most venerable trainer out there, because I don't think people realize you can just walk off the street and get into this plane with an instructor, and you can't mess it up. I mean, eventually that instructor is going to take control, but you've got to take this thing so far out of the envelope before you can get yourself even into a little bit of trouble. The plane is just that forgiving, and that's why most people, their first flight, their discovery flight, and their first, say, 60 hours is in a 172.
Right. No, it was. In fact, I had a high school kid that I mentored, and I asked him before he graduated what he wanted to do. And he said, I don't know. We got him a discovery flight in a 172. He's now a junior at Auburn University at the flight program, getting a business degree. That's cool. And he's IFR, just his IFR. That's the hardest thing I've ever done. But yeah, he started in a 172. So we're going to take this 172 vectors to final. If you're interested in the aircraft, please email us, jetsales@assentaero.com. And it is time for our first commercial break. We will see you back after the commercial break for our Cessna 310R.
See the latest aircraft for sale worldwide on avbuyer.com. Refine your preferences for a tailored search experience. Check out the latest price data on jet models, updated weekly from our data partners. Make informed decisions by viewing detailed buyer's guides and aircraft comparisons, videos and podcasts from our leading industry experts, as well as specialist hubs on relevant key areas. AvBuyer. Actionable intelligence for business aviation.
AMSTAT, the leading provider of business aviation market research. The only market research company dedicated to providing business aviation market data. Accurate and up-to-date, keeping you informed of market conditions and trends. Provider of a powerful set of tools that turn business aviation market data into sales opportunities, including an integration with the Salesforce CRM. And the Assent Aircraft Valuation Tool, calculating objective serial number specific aircraft values. AMSTAT, information that moves you forward.
Aero Brigham, founded by David and Danny Brigham in Decatur, Texas, is a family-owned business that brings a sense of pride to every single aircraft that comes across their shop floor. They're one of the few MROs in the world that can truly handle every aspect of your helicopter from tip to tail. If you're in need of helicopter service, your first call and only call should be to Aero Brigham in Decatur, Texas.
Woke up this morning with the sunrise in my eyes. Just like a new day, a breath of fresh air in my life. I don't know how, don't know why, but I'll be toasting all my life.
The Assent Aeronautics live private aircraft auction is sponsored by Aero Brigham, AvBuyer, Jackson Walker, AMSTAT, and Aircraft Shopper Online. It's July 22nd private aircraft auction on the block right now. We have a 1978 Cessna 310R 6186 X-ray. This is the one with the WAS navigation system, ADS-B out. It's got that Garmin 330 in it for ADS-B in. ADS-B out. Autopilot, no nice heated props. You know, everything that you want in a stock twin. You know, it's not a 421C, Jeff. I don't want
a 310 is a really good airplane, really solid, a common twin trainer. And when people hear trainer, they think, okay, what you mean is underpowered or docile. And that can be the case. Not so in a 310. That great shot from overhead, distinctive look to the airplane, the tip tanks. It's a performer. I mean, it will do just about everything that a Baron can do. And if you ask passengers, a lot of them will say they like the 310 more than a Baron. It's bigger on the inside. You ask pilots, most of them prefer a Baron, but both great models in the same class.
Sure.
And most people that can fly a multi-engine airplane, they've got some time in a 310, and there's a lot of people that own 310s for business and pleasure because they can carry a lot, they got a big cabin, and they're fast.
Yeah, no doubt. I just did a F90 deal. We sold an F90 to a friend of ours, and we went to New Century Field outside of Kansas City. And the guy flew in, his buddy flew him in. It wasn't a 310, but it was a 414. Kind of a similar situation. He flies that thing for business so frequently. He does 300 hours a year.
Wow.
For business. And he's like, I just can't. I've had the thing for 10 years. I just can't upgrade it. Why would I? Because getting into a King Air, I'm going to spend so much more money. And it's the difference between landing and walking into the FBO speed-wise for my mission, which is 300 miles maybe.
Sure.
So why not? And we have closed the Cessna 310R. We are moving this bird vectors to final. And I am excited to announce that the next bird, lot number 7, is a 1979 Beech Duke, based right here out of Meacham, and the reserve has been met. We're at $145,000. Solid aircraft. Jeff, you've seen this aircraft in person, have you not?
I've been in.
You almost bought this aircraft.
I've been inside this Duke. It is a great plane. I think, like many people, that the Beechcraft Duke is the sexiest general aviation plane ever made. And you look at this thing on the ramp.
Wait, you say that as a 421C owner?
I do. Okay. I wanted
Why?
a Duke for a very long time. It's number one, it's a great airplane.
Okay.
It's a very solid performer. It performs essentially just as well as a Cessna 421. It looks better than a 421. I mean, I think it looks better than everything. It's got that stiletto look on the ramp, and when you put the winglets on it, like they have here, it just looks so cool. I don't care who you are, if you're a Cessna 172 guy or if you just walked out of a Gulfstream G5, when you see a Duke taxi up on the ramp, you're stopping and you're looking and you're going, that pilot's cool.
Yeah.
He or she, they've got some taste. That's a cool looking plane. It's got, the nose down look to it. That's the stiletto.
Yeah.
The legend is that kind of what you were talking about earlier, Jake, when you have planes that do so well that they're competing with the next model up out of the factory, the engineers have almost done too well.
Right.
And you've priced out some of your own models. The Beech Duke was doing that to King Air 90s. And the legend is that the Beech engineers, they had to create a little bit more drag to the Duke, which is why it kind of has that nose down stiletto look, the big tall tail. And the result is you've still got a very fast airplane, a very good, well-performing airplane, but you've got that distinct look.
Right.
Even people who don't know anything about airplanes, when they see that one go by on the ramp, it's like, what's that?
Right.
That thing is cool.
Yeah, it is. You kind of remind me, and hopefully our viewers can envision this. I don't know if the production guys can put it up or create a meme on the fly, but you're like the guy, Jeff, he's got the girl on his arm and she says 421C, and then it says you're the new aircraft owner, and he's looking behind him like, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
sure.
And it's a Beech Duke. It's like, hey, Jeff, you just bought a 421C, and now
you're
you're looking over your shoulder.
No regrets. But to anyone who has a Duke out there, anyone who wants to buy this one, good for you.
Yeah.
Like I said, I've been inside of it. It's a great airplane, inside and out. Yep. It's striking on the ramp, and I think there's a lot of good memories to be had in this particular airplane.
Yep. Yeah, fresh annual. Just fixed the AC. on it, which was really the only issue that they've had for a very long time. And it's going through the annual at Trim Air, which is arguably the best Beach Duke shop in the world.
Yes.
These guys are pros. I'm like, they literally said, the guys who own this, two partners, and they said, I called it Mexia, and they said, Jake, it's my hair. Kind of like my hair, although you don't have much hair.
I think the correct pronunciation is Mahea.
It is Mahea, but if you're from West Texas or East Texas, it's my hair.
Trim Air in Mahea or Royal Air in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Okay.
Those are the two best Duke shops. Everyone on Duke Flyers recommends them, and again, I know we're going to sell this one. Congratulations. Did we just run out of time?
Yeah, we did. Ladies and gentlemen, we have sold the 1979 Beach Duke. Congratulations to the buyers and sellers at $145,000. Hats off to both of you. That is great. You're going to get a fantastic aircraft. And the owners of the Beach Duke want a C-90, which is very interesting. So they tell me, keep an eye on your C-90 that you have, Lot 10. They said, we're not going to bid on it today because we want to go see it. And obviously, we need to let our Duke sell at auction. And sure enough, here we are. So pressure's on you, partners. We need to see you with a little action on our C-90. Next up's the 1977 Baron 58P Garmin 750, 650 stack, ADS-B, new Ram overhauled engines, new turbos, new exhaust, low time engines, 130 hours on the props. I mean, what else could you ask for?
I mean, this is a fully loaded P Baron, and this is a little brother to the Duke, very very similar to a 58 Baron, except for the pressurization system.
Right.
And so you've got a plane that can perform in the high teens and in the low 20s in the flight levels. It'll go fast. It's pretty economical. It holds a lot of fuel. There's a dentist, an oral surgeon in town in Fort Worth, Dr. Greg Scheidemann.
I know Greg.
A big TCU sports, big TCU supporter altogether.
Yeah.
And Dr. Scheidemann had a really nice P Baron like the one we see right here. I got to fly in it. What an incredible airplane! It flies just like a heavy Baron, and that's the extra weight you've got from the pressurization system. Otherwise, handles just like a Baron, which is the best compliment you can get in terms of harmonic flying. Mm-hmm. It's a great family traveling machine. So we've got a great plane here for someone to get.
It's funny that you mentioned Dr. Scheidemann because my wife and I know his daughter. She had a boutique. This is kind of off topic, but a boutique dog. Do you remember Wag?
Wag.
Yeah, in Fort Worth.
Yes.
It's a great shop. We'd always take our dog in there, and she had two. Were they Ridgebacks? I think she has two Ridgebacks, but they were always in there just lounging.
Sure.
Anyway, but I ran into them at a Mexican restaurant, and Dr. Scheidemann was there, and he, I believe he has a B200 now.
He has a Super King Air now.
Yeah.
But I know Dr. Scheidemann's P Baron served him, his family, on many, many cool missions, up to Aspen, picking up dogs, various parts of the country.
Yeah.
Just a very, very capable airplane. And one you don't really think of in this class. You think of the twin Cessnas like the 414s, the 421s, the Beach Duke,
right? Maybe
a Piper Aerostar. And this is kind of the sleeper in the category. You can probably get it for less than the planes I just listed, but it will perform right there with all those airplanes, and you've got Beechcraft engineering.
That's right. Well, we sold our friend's G58 Baron for just shy of $1 million this time last year. In fact, it was August of last year. I was on vacation selling aircraft brokers that are watching the stream. You know my pain. It's work-life integration, not work-life balance. But just shy of $1 million. You could still smell new inside. 200 something hours, had just come off of warranty. We sold it in 2020. It was in 2015, and just an absolutely fantastic aircraft. I know you're hearing us say that a lot, but a well-maintained bird like the Baron G58 that's looked after the way that, you know, our own Mike Dittmer would look after a bird here at Assent. Really familiar with the Baron. You're just going to get a fantastic, and if you don't need the King Air, this is a great, especially with the pressurization, the new engines, all the upgrades, the fresh everything. When I talked to there's a piston dealer that we love here, Ryan Spencer Aviation Services out of Addison, Texas. And he said, Jake, I sell tons of pistons, and guys want updated cockpit, and they want fresh engine overhaul or good engine times. And if you have those two things right now, I feel like you're in a perfect position to sell.
Those are the first two boxes to check, I think, for almost any prospective piston buyer.
Right. And not necessarily for a jet buyer, because some guy might go into the aircraft and turn right, you know, in a jet. He doesn't care what's up. Pro Line 4, can you land it? Great. I hope the interior is nice. Okay, so we are going vectors to final, ladies and gentlemen, with our Baron 58P, and it is time for our very last commercial break. After the break, you will join us for the sale of a 1984 Lear 55. See you soon.
Sale worldwide on avbuyer.com. Refine your preferences for a tailored search experience. Check out the latest price data on jet models, updated weekly from our data partners. Make informed decisions by viewing detailed buyer's guides and aircraft comparisons, videos and podcasts from our leading industry experts, as well as specialist hubs on relevant key areas. AvBuyer. Actionable intelligence for business aviation.
Amstat, the leading provider of business aviation market research. The only market research company dedicated to providing business aviation market data. Accurate and up-to-date, keeping you informed of market conditions and trends. Provider of a powerful set of tools that turn business aviation market data into sales opportunities, including an integration with the Salesforce CRM. And the Assent Aircraft Valuation Tool, calculating objective serial number specific aircraft values. Amstat, information that moves you forward.
Aero Brigham, founded by David and Danny Brigham in Decatur, Texas, is a family-owned business that brings a sense of pride to every single aircraft that comes across their shop floor. They're one of the few MROs in the world that can truly handle every aspect of your helicopter from tip to tail. If you're in need of helicopter service, your first call and only call should be to Aero Brigham in Decatur, Texas.
The Assent Aeronautics live private aircraft auction is sponsored by Aero Brigham, AvBuyer, Jackson Walker, Amstat, and Aircraft Shopper Online. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the July 22nd Assent Private Aircraft Auction. We have a minute and a half left on this Learjet 55 that is actually sitting right behind me, right next to a Honda Jet in our hangar that has candy paint. It is literally a candy paint job Honda Jet. not this Learjet, but it's sitting right next to one. Learjet, unbelievably capable aircraft, painted completely white. This would be a stellar performer on a Part 135, going nearly coast to coast. The layout or the interior configuration is a little bit different on this Lear 55. It's got a really, really unique lavatory that almost feels like a little rest area, which is so funny in a tube that I'm not going to call it small, but think about a crew rest like in a G650 or a Global Express, where you've got basically an entire lavatory that has some room. This essentially has that in the back. If you're looking at the feed right now, just over that right seat, if you're looking at the feed, is where that lavatory sits, and then back on the left side is more baggage. So if you're willing to take on the 12-year inspection, this aircraft provides a ton of value. And I know we're coming down to the very end of it. It looks like we're going to move this bird vectors to final. But that is a whole heck of a lot of aircraft. If you're interested in this Lear 55, want to make an offer, I know the owner is ready to move it. Jet sales at AssentAero.com, or give us a shout, 817-888-8227. My extension is 710. That'll go to me, Jake. And we'd love to move this aircraft. Next one on the block, 1978 King Air C90. This is 85 Delta Romeo. It's based in Washington. And when I say that, I don't mean DC. I mean Washington State. Engines on the Moore program. 9,500 hours total time. It's got a 430, good cosmetics, and they just spent $70,000 on phase 1 through 4. This is as turnkey as you could possibly get.
Yeah, take a look at inside and out. Well, first of all, let's say the King Air 90. That's probably one of the 10 best planes ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like some other examples we've talked about today. This is kind of the turboprop example of a Cessna 172. This is the most designed, the most flown, and the most operated turboprop in the world, full stop. And so you know Beach got this one right too. It is a super durable, versatile, rugged, go anywhere, do anything type of airplane. If you can shut the door, she'll take off. She'll get in and out of mountain towns. She'll get in and out of airports that are high and hot. It can do anything. This is a Suburban with wings. And there's a reason that the design is really unchanged for over 60 years. And this model right here, it is so aesthetically pleasing inside and out. The paint looks great. The avionics look great. The interior looks great. They've obviously taken good care of this airplane. And this, I mean, you can do anything. And I mean, unless you want to go to Europe or Hawaii. This can do it all.
You better land on an aircraft carrier if you want to go to Hawaii. But I guess you could island hop all the way.
You could go to Europe.
I just book a first class, honestly. They do one right out of DFW.
Right.
But I'm excited, and I know there are going to be a few of these at Oshkosh this coming week. And we just want to make a plug. We're going to be at Oshkosh for an entire week. We're filming a ton. We're taking the production trailer and a bunch of RVs. We're going to come full force. We have koozies. We're going to be playing cornhole. Come by and see us. We'd love to connect with you. We're looking for stories. So our TV show Straight and Level has been a massive success. The producers tell us, keep on, let's go. We're going up to Oshkosh to film some current projects that we have going, and then to meet you. If you want to meet up, you can actually text us at 817-888-8227. Of course, you can call us. My extension is 710. Or shoot us an email, jetsales@AssentAero.com. We'd love to meet with you at Oshkosh. We get in Sunday, and we will be there the entire week. So very excited about this. Is going to be actually my first Oshkosh. I've been to every single MBAA since literally graduating college. I mean, you don't miss MBAA, right, as an aircraft broker, but Oshkosh, 600,000 plus visitors, just planes stacked on top of planes.
It's 100% passion for airplanes. And that's no knock on NBAA. That's a different audience. That's a different crowd. That's a different machine. Oshkosh is pure Americana aviation.
Yeah.
It's people that are grassroots that they love the romance of flight, and you find that in young and old people from every part of the country, every walk of life. It's if you love airplanes, do yourself a favor and go to Oshkosh one summer, and you probably will want to go back. You will go back because you will hear stories and you will see airplanes that you've never seen before, and those airplanes and those people have stories that just make you think, man, this is someone that I've never met that lives 1,000 miles away from me. We probably have very little in common, but they had that discovery flight like I did that first time, and we might as well be the same person.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oshkosh is, I hate to use this comparison, but it's like the Coachella or the Lollapalooza or the ACL of aviation. I mean, you've got people in tents, you've got people camping under the wing of their 172, all the way to executives looking at demo flights of private jets, old warbirds. I mean, it is just the absolute biggest collection of aviators in the world, and we could not be more excited to go to Oshkosh this year. Looks like 5 seconds left on the King Air C90. $250,000 is not going to get it done. I mean, this is at least $500,000 aircraft.
Yeah, that's a fine turboprop, and they've recently put a lot of money into it.
Yeah.
It's worth a lot more than that. We can't give them away.
No, we can't. So we're going to move this bird vectors to final, and we are moving on to our last lot of the day of 2017 Apollo Delta Jet 2. I spoke about the gyrocopter, the Xenon. Look at this thing take off. This is incredible. That camera's shaking. Brent, they need one of your camera stabilizers on the GoPro. You know what I'm talking about? Look at that. We spoke about the gyrocopter only because I've talked to a couple pilots that say that Xenon 2 is as close to flying, without strapping a pair of wings on your back. But this looks pretty dang close, Jeff.
This is close, and I know that we were talking about versions of Microsoft Flight Simulator earlier. Not the most recent version, but Flight Simulator 10, the last version. This was the default plane.
Was it?
To flying if you just opened up the program and said fly now, this is what you would get. And if you've played the game long enough, you've just stumbled upon flying this thing, and
sure.
And it doesn't matter if you're a jet guy, helicopter guy, whatever.
Yeah.
You had your hands on this thing in the simulator, and it's like, this is a lot of fun. This thing is so nimble, and I mean, on a day like we're seeing in the feed right here,
right?
A perfect severe clear VFR day. That's where you want to take this thing up.
Yeah.
And man, if you're in a pretty part of the country or of the world,
yes,
this would be hard to beat.
No doubt. I'm having flashbacks because there was a guy outside of our old neighborhood in Georgetown, Texas, that would fly one of these, and I was just like, you know what? That's what I want to do. I want to retire and do this every night at sunset. You know what I mean? Just before it's too dark to fly. Make sure I don't hit a cow when I come back down and land on a grass strip.
I think the cow wins against this one.
You would stop in a heartbeat. Yeah. I don't know if it's equipped with airbags. Good landing. Look at that.
Yeah. I mean, empty, this thing's got to be like, I don't know, 400 pounds. It's very light and nimble.
Yeah. Jeff, you could bench press for 400 pounds back in the day.
I cannot.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. AAA baseball back in the day.
I never made it that high.
Oh, it was a touch and go. Look at that. That's not bad. All right, we have 2 minutes left on the Apollo Delta Jet 2. Extremely cool aircraft. This one is based in Grand Junction, Colorado, non-corrosive environment. We represent the aircraft for a gentleman named Eric Brewer, who's representing the owner, and using our platform to gain traction on his listing, as many brokers do. And we have not met the reserve as of yet. If you throw an offer to us, I have a little template. If you throw an offer to jetsales@assentaero.com, we'd love to start that process with you. I know he's anxious to get this thing moving. The owner actually owns a number of aircraft and is offloading some of the toys. I don't know if his wife got a hold of him or or what the case was, but this one has to move. Jeff, here's a question that I was thinking of when I knew you were going to co-host with us. What's some advice that you would give an inspiring, obviously you heard my story of mentoring a guy who's now at the Auburn Flight Academy, and what advice would you give a youngster looking to get into aviation, specifically to be a pilot?
I think the easiest and cheapest way to do it is to get a hold of a good flight simulator.
Okay.
We keep talking about Microsoft. X-Plane is a great competitor to Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Is that the Apple version?
Exactly right.
Okay.
And for $50, you can get a lot of good instruction that's built in to the software. And
you learn by doing it.
You learn by doing
right.
it. And you learn stick and rudder skills. Now, way better than that is to get into an actual airplane. Talk to people who have airplanes, because those people love their airplanes.
Yeah.
And they're not meant to sit in a hangar, they're meant to fly.
That's
and
right.
they want to share their love and passion with flying.
That's right.
And so it's not a bad question. It's not an untoward or audacious question to an aircraft owner to say, I think I would love this. Can I fly with you? I bet the answer 9 out of 10 times is going to be like, love to. Let's look at our schedules.
Yeah.
They're meant to fly. Let's go do it. And go from there to take lessons. Sure. And again, if you've got that bug enough to want to get into a simulator or get into someone's plane, when you actually put your hands in the yoke and put your feet on the rudder pedals that first time, I'll bet you're hooked for life.
Yeah.
Most of us are.
Yeah, that's right. And if nothing else, go to your local FBO, and I'm sure there's someone that would do a discovery flight, whether it's paid with a CFI who's maybe just a couple years older than you looking to build time. More like Jeff said, just talk to an old aircraft, junk rat or whatever you want to call them.
Sure.
Groupie who owns a bird, loves to go flying. We're going to move the Apollo Delta Jet to our Vectors to Final program. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested in the aircraft, please email us, jetsales@AssentAero.com. We're excited to see you at Oshkosh. We will be driving around. We will be filming. We would love to meet you, and I sincerely mean that. So if you're going to be there, drop us a line, please. For Assent Aeronautics, everyone here at Jet Aviation, Dallas Love Field at the Beacon Bar, I'm Jacob Engelsdorf. This is Jeff Gilmore. We will see you next week at Oshkosh. Thanks for tuning in.